One of the best ways to learn is to learn from the greats. So I challenged myself to listen to a legendary album for a week straight to see what I could learn to level up my beats. I can't tell you who the best male R&B group of all time is.
Jodeci. It's Jodeci. It's Jodeci. It's Jodeci.
But I do know that Jagged Edge is nicely in my personal top 5. And when I think of Jagged Edge, I think of their songs He Can't Love You, What You're Trying to Do, and Promise. And when I think of those songs, I think of their 2000 album J.E Heartbreak. So I said to myself, why not I try to peep some game by listening to that album for a week straight? As a fan of R&B, and as a producer trying to learn from the greats like Jermaine Dupri and Brian Michael Cox. And when I made a Jagged Edge type beat, I noticed that my beats had leveled up by an insane amount. The first thing that I noticed was that I was able to come up with concepts a lot more easily. Now I gotta admit, having listened to J.E Heartbreak extensively, a lot of my concepts did sound slightly similar to the songs on that album. But nonetheless, most of the stuff I recorded, I was able to turn into some fire 2000s R&B type beats. It was to the point where I could even hear riffs and runs and harmonies to the voice memos that I was recording. So I guess you can say I went from envisioning a melody to envisioning a beat to envisioning an entire song. And being able to envision an entire song, that's where I knew that I had leveled up. So one way that I had leveled up was in the way that I made my chords and my melodies interact with each other. A lot of times when I produce, I like to do what's effective. So that means that a lot of the times I have VSTs playing chords in a static ways, while the melodies are a lot more dynamic. This has gotten me good and accessible beats, but listening to J.E Heartbreak has taught me how to make every layer interesting without making it overbearing. Everything is just complementing each other. So what you're gonna hear now is the chord progression. And we're getting back to that one in a minute. And this is the melody, which started out as an innocent little voice memo. And this is where I leveled up, because usually I like to expand on the chord progression, but this time I decided to expand on the melody, and that led to this dope little patch being added. And at the same time, I realized that I can use the chord progression to complement the melody, which led to this being added eventually. Now, one important thing that listening to the production by Jermaine Dupri and Brian Michael Cox has taught me is how to divide all your layers evenly over the beat. I mean, think about it. You've got at least 3 or 3.5 or 4 minutes to make every layer of your beat shine, right? And that's the thing that I learned. Not all of your elements in the beats have to shine. I used to make the mistake that I wanted to carve out space for every single layer that I had in the beat, but I eventually realized that some elements are there to make the other elements shine just a little bit brighter. But it's also a little bit of arrangement. Sometimes the layers just need to shine at the right moment. In this beat, I've got a couple of layers playing the chords. Some layers are a bit more upfront than the others, but that's fine that way. So my advice to you beautiful people would be, even though they don't all shine as bright, they are there to play an important part either way. Now personally, I think that the percussion game in the 2000s was something else. So I tried my best to experiment with a lot of percussion in this R&B beat. So my basis for this drum beat was a dope kick and a snap, and that snap might remind you of what you're trying to do, which is fair because I absolutely love that song. Now with my kick hitting on the 1 and with my snap hitting on the 3, that leaves me with a lot of space to do a lot of cool things in between. So I went digging into the Korg Triton and some kits that are based on Triton sounds to find some classic R&B percussion sounds, and I laid them down like this. So the way I see it, there's an endless sea of possibilities between the kick and the snare or the clap or the snap or whatever it is you're using. I don't use a lot of theory for rhythm. I just like to do what I think is right, you know, what really gets a groove going on. Now, a cool thing about the producers of old was that they were not only masters at arranging a song, they were also amazing at directing a band or vocalist. You know, tackle the riff like this, sing the run like that. And that's something that I feel is forgotten, especially because everything in the music industry has become so autonomous. Like artists are simultaneously producers and beat makers, and producers are simultaneously beat makers and engineers as well. So that's kind of a forgotten art. Now, full disclaimer, I ain't singing shit, but with every voice memo I made, with every element I added to the beat, I asked myself, how would an artist tackle that? And that often meant visualizing myself or just standing in front of the microphone, singing it, trying my best to emulate my best Jagged Edge impression to really get a feeling of, whoa, how could this be tackled if this were to be an actual song? And that's what I'm saying, y'all. I'm not envisioning a beat anymore. I've learned to envision an entire song. Now, I know that me and my peers on YouTube, and shout outs to everybody, of course, who's in the producer game, we love to hop in that time machine and go back to older time periods and then break down the style of that period. But I hope to have shown you beautiful peoples what I was able to learn for myself while hopping in that time machine, because I've learned a lot. However, if you want to see me break down the style of a previous period, I made a Me Neptunes type beat, which you can check out right here. And simultaneously, I've also made a Me Neptunes type beat in the style of You Don't Have to Call by Usher right here. But most of all, beautiful people, I hope to see y'all right here in the next video. So y'all be easy. Peace.